Hello, welcome to Be Well Rebellion. Today I want to talk about love. Um, Valentine's Day is coming up. I'm not exactly sure when because I don't celebrate that for a variety of reasons. You can look into it. Um, but what I do celebrate is love. I am a lover and I love like the earth itself. I give freely, um, not just to others, but to myself too, right? I am a loving, nurturing person. And what I find is that a lot of people today are reducing love to a transactional type of endeavor. Um, Reciprocity is just a byproduct of genuine love. We automatically want to reciprocate when somebody shows us love, right? But I think a lot of people are showing love initially for the wrong reasons. And that said, they're not necessarily enjoying the depth or the reciprocity that they are looking for. So I feel like this was a timely thing to say, as so many of you are going to kind of participate in some kind of ritual this weekend. And I want to encourage you to love for the sake of love, right? For the sake of just love and nothing else. Um, I want to talk about what it is to be a vortex of love. So, a lot of us are afraid to give our love freely. And with that said, um, we're doing it for the wrong reasons. And so, what we give, we get, right? We become everybody that is out in the world operating is a vortex, right? People are vortexes. Uh, they're portals. And you can be a portal for love. And if you are a portal for love, you're not doing it with any other agenda other than to give and receive love. And when you do that, it's really important to be bold, right? If there's any fear involved, any kind of doubt, any kind of games that you're playing, like it's not going to pan out for you. You're then a portal for games. You're a portal for your conduit of pretense. Okay? And if you're gonna love, like it's important to love like the earth loves. The earth isn't afraid to keep on growing flowers just because everybody is, not everybody, but so many people are using pesticides. You know what I'm saying? It still makes dandelions, which are awesome, by the way. Um, so so many of us have been hurt or like burned in the past where we felt like we've given our love to people that don't reciprocate or don't appreciate it. And I just want to say that no love that you ever gave for the sake of giving love was ever given for naught, and none of it ever dissipated. Like just because you might have poured into the wrong vessel doesn't necessarily mean that the creative energy that creates out of love, like the Most High, doesn't pour back into you. Like what you give, you become a conduit of, and that's what you receive. Okay? So, you know, like we often give the most genuine, like, kind of love is like love for our children. We don't give that hoping that they're going to respond in kind. We do that and it feels good to make them happy. Feels good to put them on the right track, because again, love is not, like we've talked about this before, love is not always cushy. It's not always like a pink feather duster. It's sometimes crazy and sometimes violent feeling and sometimes uncomfortable, and sometimes it means speaking things that you don't really want to say, and sometimes it means putting yourself out there in a way that you're not sure is going to really actually be appreciated, but it feels good for you to do that right then. And it's really important that you learn to operate in love. I call it being love, like be love, especially for women. We are we are oxytocin based beings. So it feels really good for us to love. Not just other people, ourselves too. I'm not telling anybody to be a doormat, right? But I'm telling you to be authentic with yourself. So if you feel like you want to express love to somebody, you can't worry like, is this person going to appreciate it? Is this person going to reciprocate? You have got to be the proprietor of your own energetic safety, right? And be confident in yourself enough and comfortable enough with yourself to be willing to love like the earth would. It's like the earth gives freely. The earth does not ask for the reciprocity, but if the earth starts to realize that she's being fed upon, she'll enact judgment. You know what I'm saying? So like as women particularly, like it feels so good to love our children, to love our friends, our family, and especially to love a man. Like to love a masterful man is really awesome because he takes that love and he like builds upon it, and that's how you know it's appreciated. But anyway, I digress. My point is that you have to be bold to be love. You can't be afraid. You cannot be afraid of looking like a fool. You cannot be afraid of not getting it back. And you have to trust that you are going to get it back, because you can't help but get it back, because it's science. When you become a conduit of something, it's going to keep on filling that vacuum of that vortex, right? You give out love freely with no pretense, no agenda, no like expectations. And in turn, the ether, the most high creative energy that creates out of love alone, it cannot help but like feed you more of it, right? And so then like, let's say you're feeding into, you're loving on somebody, you're loving on the people around you. Nobody might give a hoot, like everybody might not care, but you are then vibrationally becoming a vortex, a conduit of love. And so you cannot help but maybe it's not coming from the place where you thought it was going to come from, but it's going to come through you nonetheless. It's just how it works. You're like setting yourself up so that you can't lose, because not only, it's like threefold. Not only are you pouring into the people around you and making it a better place, but the Most High then cannot help but feed you that same energetic quality, right? It comes into you so that you can just keep on doing more of it. But also your discernment is like on point at that point, because I remember like when I was in a relationship with my ex-husband and things went really sour, I was thinking that he was dealing with like a demonic type of attack and he wasn't himself, and he was just like spiraling downward. I couldn't help but always wonder, like, is there something that I'm doing that's contributing to this? So I was on my best behavior, right? And I was like, I'm going to give for the sake of love. I'm just going to give love for the sake of love. I was talking life into somebody that was obviously not talking life back to me. But I was doing it for love, for no other reason than for like love and the byproducts of love and spreading love in a world that I felt like needed it. And what happened was that he and I both could recognize, like, it wasn't me. When we parted ways, like, he admitted himself, like, it wasn't my fault. I did my part, right? Like, I spoke life. I showed up like in a way that was kind of scary for me, but I got comfortable with the fact that, oh shit, I'm a powerful conduit of love. And if he's not going to give it back to me, it's going to come from everywhere else. Like, it comes from everywhere. I feel so much love in my life, and it's because I chose to be love. I chose to be bold and to give it with no expectations for reciprocity from the person that I was giving it to. And that's a really powerful place to be too, because like I've set out the ripple of love. I've embodied love, and now when I give it freely with no judgment, no expectations, I know that I get a clear picture of the energy that the other person is working with. So that was a unexpected byproduct of being willing to be bold in love. And when you're operating in love, you're not operating in fear. There is no fear of looking foolish. There's no fear of being, like used. You will use math sometimes to calculate risk, to say like, okay, well, doing this kind of thing is reckless for me because, maybe it causes me to feel a certain way that I can't really afford to feel, or maybe it costs me in something that I don't want to, incur, right? But for the most part, like, you become really resilient when you start loving like the earth. You become resilient. You can't lose. You just cannot lose when you're operating in love. But so many people think that they're operating in love when really they're operating with expectation. They're operating with little bits of jealousy, anger, lack of acceptance. So it's really, really rare to see acts of love. And I think this is why so many people actually enjoy this kind of genuine love with strangers that they're like meeting randomly, helping each other, like that, because we don't hold each other to certain expectations. Whereas when we get really close to people, we start to really expect certain behaviors in return for our love. And that's where it starts to turn into not love, but maybe manipulation. So I don't know, I just felt like it was time for people to be bold, especially women. With that oxytocin boost, and that's what keeps our nervous systems like feeling good. Like, we need oxytocin to regulate. So if you feel like you want to give love, like, you should be bold and give it. And if you're afraid that you're going to be unappreciated in any way, like, you have to just recognize that reciprocity doesn't always come from the people we pour into. Sometimes it comes from source itself. And that's a really beautiful and powerful thing. You are then loving like God. You're loving like a divine being of just beauty. And like I said, love isn't always easy. Love sometimes it's harsh. Sometimes it's holding space. Sometimes it's having hard conversations. Sometimes it's, accepting of certain dynamics that aren't always the most comfortable. But you have to understand too that, like, by falling back on love, like, you are so resilient and you're so supported too. Like, you're never gonna have to worry about wondering, you're never gonna have to worry about running out of it. Like, rivers don't worry about running out of water, they just keep flowing. And that's what you do with the love. And you just end up being inundated in love. Your whole life becomes a conversation between you and the Most High. And it's not at all, oh, I'm loving this person because I'm expecting this kind of response. Like, it doesn't matter, because people ultimately, as much as it's sad to admit sometimes, people come and go, and you either have a dance to do or you don't. And that's got to be okay. You have to be okay with that. And that doesn't mean that you have to shut it down. Like, if you're somebody that's been kind of like mistreated in the past, or your love has felt like you've given your love to a person that ended up being like, wrong for you, you just have to recognize that you've done, there's no room for regrets. There's no room for a should or shouldn't. There's just an authentic expression of the self, and that's love to you. Because you matter too, right? So, like, can you imagine if you want to give love to somebody and you don't because you're afraid of looking like a fool, or like what they'll think of you, or if they're going to give it back, or this repercussion or that repercussion? Can you imagine all the things, all the beauty that you miss out on in the world? What would happen, if love just stagnated? I think we see a lot of that happening now. But, as women, especially, you have to be willing to be love. And you can pour into, your family, your friends, the men in your life in a variety of ways. Like, you are the embodiment of love. So, pour into the men in your life and see what happens. You're not going to lose. And again, like, pour into yourself. You have to pour into yourself. Otherwise, you do kind of beget some sort of imbalance. And then you're not able to love like you potentially could, because you've been setting yourself up for expectations that don't get met. So love without expectations. Hold boundaries for yourself if that's what you need, as we all do, to keep our bodies and our minds and our souls intact, right? And safe, right? So be wise, but also understand that love is a power. Love is not a transaction. Love is a vibration. And being your authentic self and expressing love when you want to express love is such a beautiful thing. And you just can't lose, Love that you've given is always going to come back to you. And your discernment is just going to get top notch. And I think that more people should be willing to love for the sake of love itself. And I focus on women because we are oxytocin driven, which is the love hormone, right? Men are motivated more by dopamine response, but women, we need to be love. And the more that we are willing to be love, the more we birth love, the more we foster love, the more we speak love, and the better we are taken care of. I think that's why a lot of people will tell you how, I think there's a saying like, happy wife, happy life. And that's not to say that she should be like worshipped necessarily, but she should be loved, because when she's loved, it really does welcome all kinds of abundance and creative energy. And it's a really, really beautiful thing. And you get to a point where there's no regrets. There's just resilience. Because maybe you learn like, okay, well, this person isn't really somebody that I want to pour much of this type of love into. Maybe the love I pour into that person is more of like a tougher type of love. But soft love, maybe that it never backfires. It just kind of shifts shape and comes back around to you. So don't be afraid to be love. Don't be afraid to speak love. And understand that you're then becoming such a powerful conduit of loving energy, so that you can really step into the creative power that comes with it. And you never lose. You never lose if you operate in love. You create ripples of love, you create a vortex of love, and you hone your discernment. The company you keep then transforms into the people that can meet you there. So, much love.